You're watching Cricket World TV Hotspot. It's Saturday morning. It's time for another county cricket review and preview. I'm John Pennington. I'm joined once again by Matt Carter. Morning, Matt.
Morning. How you doing?
Very, very well. And we're going to be looking back at the latest LV County Championship action, or what little of it there was, and also concentrating on the T20 Blast because both competitions in full swing at the moment. First of all, Matt, I have to say, congratulations to you for completing the Edinburgh Marathon last week. You had a much better completion rate than most of the cricket this week.
Yeah, thanks very much. Just about starting to feel like legs again. Took a good few days, but yeah, I'm back here in one piece, thankfully.
Good stuff. Well, let's move on to the cricket then. Week 8 of the LV County Championship was a very disappointing week because there were 8 matches. There were 8 matches indeed, and not one of them finished in anything other than a draw, which is obviously a huge disappointment, and all of the teams almost move away as they were. Nobody really made any great gains.
No, it's been an absolute nightmare of a week, really. I think this is the first time we've had 8 games this season, and they've all been rained off. I think only a couple of them even managed to get into a third innings. There was just really very little to really get your teeth into with what was going on. Probably Hampshire were the only team to be happy because they weren't playing, and obviously being top of Division 2, they didn't lose any ground. I mean, I saw a rather crass remark saying even Northampton could have got a draw in this weather, so that perhaps tells you how wet it was.
It certainly was, and I was going to ask you about who, if anybody, benefited, and Hampshire, the obvious beneficiaries, and I can't remember which team wasn't playing. Well, Northamptonshire weren't playing in Division 1, so they couldn't benefit. So a very disappointing week all round. Any real outstanding performances or key issues for you just to bring to our attention?
Probably in Division 1 you have to mention the Roses game. It was a good showing from Lancashire in that one. They were heading into a game against Yorkshire in pretty poor form. They could have lost 4 of the opening 5. Yorkshire, the polar opposite really. They've been excellent so far, and Lancashire had the better of it. It was a bit of a moral victory. They scored the highest score of the season. Tom Smith was excellent, as he has been all season. Tom Smith, he's really having a brilliant season. He's now starting to be talked about in the same breath of England. I think he's 6th on the wicket taker list and 14th on the run scorer list, so they're pretty handy all-round stats. So plenty for Lancashire to work with. And otherwise in Division 1, Ben Stokes came back, did pretty well. Hopefully he'll be able to give Durham the inspiration they need. Warwickshire got a few runs that they needed from Porterfield and Westfield. And the other game in Division 1, well, I've got nothing on that one. Not a ball was bowled.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt, carry on.
Yeah, in Division 2, probably the big talking point was between Glamorgan and Leicestershire, where Glamorgan ended up 2 wickets short of defying all the weather and clinching a result against Leicestershire, who have started to regress a little bit to the struggles of last year, which will be a concern for them. They had 20 overs, Glamorgan, to remove the Leicestershire 9th wicket partnership, and they couldn't do it. Although Mark Wallace was forced to bowl his slow bowlers, and in conditions where the ball was moving around everywhere, I think had he been able to bowl the likes of Hogan and Tom Helm, they probably would have mopped that up and moved up to within a couple of points of the leaders. And they're having an excellent season, Glamorgan. Actually, they've only lost once. They've got themselves out of jail a couple of times, so they're showing good character. And finally, some of their top order got runs in this game. So the first third of their season, they'll be delighted with how they're going, even with this disappointment. They've got to be happy.
Good stuff. Well, you mentioned Tom Smith there, Lancashire all-rounder. We're going to be talking about another Lancashire all-rounder shortly. First of all, though, let's just briefly look ahead to Week 9 in the LV County Championship. Again, it's a full round of fixtures, and we hope very much that the weather doesn't interrupt. Division 1, we've got Durham hosting Middlesex, Lancashire playing Somerset, Northamptonshire back in action against Yorkshire, Sussex against Nottinghamshire. Division 2, we've got Essex against Glamorgan, Hampshire, the leaders, they're back in action again. They play Derbyshire. Surrey are hosting Worcestershire, and Leicestershire taking on Gloucestershire. Which of those games would you say you might be most looking forward to, Matt, and anything interesting we should be looking out for?
Well, I had a glance at the weather on all these games, and pretty much all of them have got 3 days forecast of rain, so
wow.
We could be in a similar position to this week, unfortunately. But I like the look of Lancashire against Somerset. If they don't get any rain there, I think that'll be an interesting test for Somerset on a pitch that should be moving about a bit. it'll be another real test to see where they're actually at Somerset. Are they genuine title contenders or not? And obviously with Lancashire's improved performance last week, it'll be interesting to see whether they can carry that on. Durham against Middlesex will be interesting if Chesley Street is playing lively as you'd imagine it would be with all the rain about and the cloud cover. That should be a test of Middlesex middle order, which has done well against Lancashire and Northants, but not been tested against the best teams yet. So they're probably the two in the top division. As for Division 2, Surrey and Worcestershire could be interesting. Surrey moving on without Graham Smith, which is a massive loss for them. Graham Smith is his leadership more than anything. I know they've got in Amler who will probably score more runs than Smith would have anyway, but it's just the leadership qualities for that young side, which is a big loss for them. So that's probably the one to watch in that division.
Good stuff. Yeah, sorry, Worcestershire were probably the one that I'd most be looking forward to as well. Well, we've got T20 Blast is well underway. Matt, just give us an overview of the sort of state of play. Who's leading the way after the latest fixtures? And we understand, obviously, fixtures are coming thick and fast over the weekend as well.
Yeah, thankfully it's not been as weather affected, the T20 Blast. I think every game that was scheduled last night got a result. They're flying. They're defending some really low totals at the moment. Junaid Khan, I think, took 4 for 12 last night, which was really impressive figures. Other sides in that North Division, not so stumbling a bit. They were highly fancied by everyone. They lost for the second consecutive game last night. Worcestershire won 2-2. They're seeming to carry on that championship form. They're having a real feel-good factor about the club. The South Division, well, Middlesex have now lost 5-5, and already their hopes are pretty much falling away. Hampshire, the favourites to lift that, to top that division. Sorry, they are. I think they've won 3-4 and 3 on the bounce. James Vince has scored 3 consecutive half centuries to ever increase his glowing reputation, and they're the team to beat in that division. Kent are the only unbeaten side. They've got 2-2, but that's impressive for them because they didn't reach the quarterfinals last year. And then Glamorgan again chased 180 last night. There's a real feel-good factor about Glamorgan. They brought in Darren Sammy. Didn't really need him last night. Chris Cook he scored 60 off about 30 balls. But for Glamorgan, they've got 2-3, and they're looking good, Glamorgan. There's definitely a lot to be positive about for them because they only narrowly missed qualification for the quarterfinals last year, and they're a good side, and they could be a dark horse to watch.
Absolutely, and it's a good thing that these games are going ahead and the weather isn't affecting them. There have been a couple of stories this week that have perhaps dominated the agenda. First of all, Kevin Pietersen coming back to Surrey, but he's not quite fit enough to play because he's still got this injured finger, which suggests he was obviously nursing it throughout the IPL. They'll want him back soon, won't they? Because he's obviously such a super player. But again, there's this worry about his fitness.
Yeah, they'll be keen to get him in, and I mean, if just for attendance is more than anything else. I mean, he's a big name, and the tournament needs those big names. And Surrey are going well actually. They're bowling really well. They're keeping things tight, and if they can get Pietersen in there, get a bit of firepower at the top, they look a dangerous side. And as we say, he is a box office player, and anyone would want him in their team.
Yeah, I actually watched quite a lot of him bat in the IPL. I've seen what I think is some quite unfair criticism. People maybe just seeing some low scores and they he shouldn't be in the England team because he can't bat anymore. But he actually batted very, very well on occasion in the IPL in a struggling team, and obviously that finger wasn't fully fit. So I think he deserves a bit of credit for how well he actually did there. Let's move on to one of his former England teammates, as we should now call him, Andrew Flintoff, coming out of retirement to play for Lancashire, but didn't feature last night against Warwickshire. There's a question mark over whether he'll actually get in the team, because as you've already said, Lancashire are actually doing very well. I mean, what do you make of his return? Is this another sort of idea to get bums on seats, or could he actually make a bit of a difference?
No, I mean, I think it has to be a win-win situation for everyone, really. As you say, he's going to get bums on seats, whether Lancashire are playing at home or away from home. People are going to want to go and see Flintoff, and whether he'll get in the team or not, I'd imagine he will. I mean, if not more so for his batting than his bowling. I mean, Lancashire's bowling has been excellent, but they do still lack a little bit of firepower with the bat. I mean, even if Flintoff's to fail, I mean, it's 2020. If you get a few failures, no one's going to remember that. He hasn't really got anything to lose, and it's going to be great to see how he goes. Because retiring at 31, it was a shame, and it it is brilliant for the game that we now get to see him once again. And as we say, the tournament needs these big players, and it raises the profile of it.
Yeah, I think he sort of said he feels he's as fit as he's ever been. So, yeah, 5 years out of the game, the knees have had a bit of a rest. And as you say, 2020, it's sort of 3 hours work every few days. He should be able to handle that. I saw a tweet this morning I think it's tweeted this morning, it might have been tweeted yesterday, but Yorkshire had got Brian Close to dress up in 2020 gear, or sort of goading Lancashire a bit, saying they were going to bring him back. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I think Derbyshire were tweeting about trying to bring Michael Holding back out of retirement.
Yes.
And they definitely need him the position they're in. But yeah, there's been a few teams that have been playing up on that one.
Good stuff. Well, as I say, many sort of fixtures over the weekend. Which ones are you sort of most looking forward to? Any sort of key indicators we should be looking for as the NatWest T20 Blast rumbles on?
Well, there's a Roses game taking place between Lancashire and Yorkshire, and I'd imagine that might be the one where Flintoff does make his bow. So it's probably that one, and you would back Lancashire to win that one. Yorkshire on a great 2020 side, although they have got Aaron Finch now, so it's going to be a box office game, that one. But I mean, most of these games have been pretty exciting so far. So I think wherever you go, you're going to see a decent contest.
So far, so good, and that's obviously what we want to continue. And talking of 2020 cricket, just for a bit of fun to finish, we've got the IPL Final tomorrow. Kolkata Knight Riders taking on the Kings 11 Punjab. Which way do you see that one going?
I'm going to have to go for Kolkata with this one. I mean, they're just on a wave of massive momentum, and I just think their bowling attack is so much better than everybody else's. I mean, a lot of teams have got strong batting lineups, but that bowling attack with Narayan especially, who's obviously chosen this over the West Indies Test team, which is a little bit controversial, but with him and then the likes of Yadav and Morkel suddenly started bowling really well. I just think their bowling might have too much for the Kings 11, but you never know if Maxwell comes off. It should certainly be a great contest.
Yeah, certainly should be. I'm going to go with Kolkata as well. I went from Chennai right from the very start. They were knocked out thrashed. Well, they were sort of thrashed at the end. Obviously, Brenda Sowa scoring a century, Suresh Raina almost getting them into a position to win, but it wasn't to be. So I'm going to switch my allegiance now to Kolkata to regain, I suppose, the title that they won back in 2012. Matt, thank you very much once again for your time this morning, discussing all things county cricket and a little bit of IPL in there as well. So really good. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks very much for that. I'll speak to you again soon.
We certainly will. We'll catch up again next week for our latest hotspot. In the meantime, if you want to get a bit more detail on any of the points that Matt's raised today, do check out his talking points on cricketworld.com. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.